Choosing the right jewelry. Part 1. Going to cover styles today. Coming up next on Body Piercing Basics, episode number 44. Starting right now. For those that are new to the channel, my name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I'm the owner and operator of the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the lovely Skin Kitchen. So when I talk to you this, I'm talking to you at a level of expertise as someone who's been piercing for a long period of time and has worked with a lot of different styles of jewelry over the years, quality-wise, etc. So this is the first episode of a new series that I'm going to be doing over the coming weeks, where I'm going to go through some of the most basic information, kind of to give you a base knowledge of body piercing jewelry, things to look for, things that are going to work, and things you should consider when buying new jewelry or getting a new piercing. So this is going to be part 1. We're going to cover basically what the different styles are so that you can be a little bit more up to speed on what you're looking for, right? Body piercing jewelry can basically be broken down into 5 different types of jewelry. The first type would be circular jewelry. This would be things like rings or circular barbells. They generally have the shape of a complete circle. The second type is curved jewelry. This is basically shaped in a quarter turn of a full circle, basically 25. Kind of looks like a banana. Kind of, if you want to consider it that. That's why it's constantly gotten that term. They can also be referred to as bent barbells. This style, usually there's only pretty much 2 types. That's the curved barbell with the 2 balls on both ends and retainers with O-rings. The next type is post jewelry. This can come in various different varieties. The first one being, and the most common, is probably standard barbells or straight barbells. This is a straight post with 2 balls that screw in on both ends. The next style would be labrae studs. Labrae studs have a flat disc on one side opposed to a ball or some type of other end, and on the other side have a normal closure like a ball or etc. The next type would be L-bends, usually shaped like an L. These are used in nostril piercings. They were really common with labrae studs 10, 15 years ago as for lower labrae piercings, or labret, depending on where you learn how to say the word. The last one would be nostril screws. These are shaped kind of like a question mark that is bent at the curvature part, the post section and then the curve section. The next type of jewelry is one that I don't normally use, and they are called surface-to-surface barbells. They're shaped kind of like a squared off U, I guess would be a good way of putting it, a very shallow one. And these are designed specifically for piercings that are at risk, to say it nicely, of rejection, or to really be completely honest, are experimental piercings. These are piercings that are done through areas where they're piercing a flat surface. Probably the one that's the real hip one right now would be the surface-to-surface tracheases, which basically you're just piercing the tracheus area and then putting that in there. They're specifically designed to limit your body's ability to reject that type of jewelry from out of those piercings. So you probably won't come across them unless you actually have a surface-to-surface piercing. The next type are called microdermals, or used for dermal implants or microdermals or whatever you want to call it. The single point piercings, I guess, is another term for them. These are the ones that are done with one thing where you see the gem on the end. They are kind of like a labrae stud, but much shorter. They have a screw on top, and then the part that's actually inside the body is kind of oval shaped instead of perfectly round like a disc, and has cutouts in it. So what do we look for when we're looking for what style is going to work best for your piercing? First thing we're going to look at is the anatomy of the piercing. Most traditional piercings are going to have kind of 2 or 3 different types of shapes. They're either going to be kind of cliffs, mountains, or hills. They're kind of just protruding, like a lobe protrudes, where there's two definite flat sides, or they're like a heel, like a nipple, where there's two pronounced sides, but it's more curvature, or they're kind of like in between the two, like an eyebrow, where depending on the person's anatomy, it's kind of a low rising hill, or even the snug can kind of be the same thing. So we want to select something that's going to fit well into that anatomy and is going to anchor the piercing as best as we can. The second thing we want to look at is limiting the amount of contact that the jewelry is going to be. For example, a good example, if you had a post through your earlobe, it's going to have a lot less contact than a ring, because a ring is going to protrude out to the full length or area of the area, and it's constantly going to come in contact with stuff. So having something that has less contact and it's easier to isolate is going to make your healing period easier, and it's going to make it less likely for trauma to happen after the piercing is healed when contact with clothing, bedding, and other people. The next thing we got to consider is swelling. If you're getting a fresh piercing, it is going to swell a little bit. So that comes into sizing, but it also comes into the shape or style. Some types of jewelry styles, like for example rings, is going to give you a little more room to kind of a little bit more area, possibly, if it swells beyond the normal size. However, with post jewelry and curved barbells, you are limited to that amount of area. So that does create a situation where if you're going to do a post, you want to oversize the jewelry length to allow for the possibility of extra swelling. With rings, you want to go with a larger diameter, not only to make it flat, but to allow that extra room. So they both have their advantages and disadvantages. The next thing we want to consider is weight. Because certain jewelry weighs a lot more than other jewelry, it has to be considered in areas that are prone to rejection or migration. The heavier the jewelry is, the more that piercing is likely to move or shift, even after the piercing is healed. So the heavier the jewelry, the more likely you are to have issues. Now, for example, a ring, like just a standard stainless ring, is going to weigh a lot less than a curved barbell with two large balls on it. So that also has to be taken into consideration. The last one is, what is going to look best in that part of your anatomy? Is it going to fit well into it? Is it going to look like a foreign object, or does it seem to match that flow of the body? This comes down to the artistic eye of the person who's doing the piercing or helping you select the jewelry, or your basic personal taste. If you want to make a bolder statement, then larger jewelry is going to make a bolder statement. If you want something that's really kind of more subtle, then more subtle jewelry is going to work better. For example, kind of the versus rings versus studs. If you want to make impact, like I could easily wear a bunch of plugs in my ear, I guess. To a degree, that would probably get some reaction. But the rings, definitely people know they're there immediately after they meet me. So it makes a much bolder statement than a bunch of plugs or standard barbells would, or labret studs. Well, that covers pretty much everything I have to say at this point in time about style of jewelry. Next week, we'll be moving on to gauge or thickness of jewelry and continuing from there. So look for that to be posted next Thursday. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of these, of course, subscribe and hit the notification bell. If I brought up a question or you have a specific question that you're just not finding the answer to, please leave a comment. If you would like to add to the discussion or bring up some points that maybe I didn't bring up, leave a comment. I'd love to talk about it. We're here to spread information. That's what our goal is. I hope your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Go out there, do something, make somebody else's life better, and enjoy yourself, because we're all counting on you.